Well, the trial of Burma's democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi is reported to be underway in a Rangoon prison. She's accused of violating the terms of her house arrest. Supporters of the Nobel Peace Laureate say the military junta is using the case to keep her behind bars.
The main entrance to Rangoon's insane prison is secretly videoed from a passing car. Barricades have been thrown up around the notorious complex for the duration of the trial of Aung San Suu Kyi. Riot police are also reported to be stationed in streets around the jail, possibly fearing another uprising. Pro-democracy activists and government supporters clashed here when the democracy leader was jailed in 2003. There was a brutal crackdown against thousands of anti-government protesters in September 2007. The junta says 10 people were killed. Dissidents say 200 died. Aung San Suu Kyi was detained this time under a subversion law. The 63-year-old democracy leader is appearing before 2 judges at a closed hearing inside the prison. She's charged with violating house arrest conditions by allowing an American tourist into her home. John William Yetor allegedly swam across a lake to reach her closely guarded residence. If convicted, she could be jailed for up to 5 years. She could also be barred from standing in next year's election. Protesters who marched on the Burmese embassy in Bangkok, including 2 dressed as Burmese soldiers, say the junta wants to keep Suu Kyi behind bars at least until after the poll. They demanded that it recognise her election victory in 1990 and free all political prisoners. Aung San Suu Kyi's defence lawyer argues that the government is responsible for the security lapse at her home, where she spent 13 of the past 19 years under house arrest. Ross Cameron, World News Australia.
Well, a short time ago, I spoke to CNN's Dan Rivers, who, like many journalists, isn't allowed to report from within Burma, but has been following developments from Bangkok.
Well, the trial is underway in Myanmar, formerly Burma. We don't have much details about what has actually happened because it's taking place inside this prison compound. We know that a group of European diplomats tried to get access to the proceedings this morning. They were turned back. They didn't even get anywhere near the prison. They were turned back at a checkpoint. But we do understand it's going on. We don't know how long it's going to go on for, but we do know that Aung San Suu Kyi is facing a maximum sentence of up to 5 years further detention. She's already been under house arrest for 13 of the last 19 years. And now, just as this country is preparing for elections next year, this would seem to provide the perfect excuse for the regime to continue to lock her up. Her 6th year of house arrest was due to come to an end at the end of this month. In fact, she'd already been illegally detained. You're only supposed to be allowed to be detained without charge for 5 years in Burma. Now, because someone broke into her house, she's facing charges and could be in prison for another 5 years.
Dan, as you say, it's hard to know exactly what's happening in Burma, let alone insane prison, but how likely is it, do you think, that she will be sentenced?
I think it's exceptionally likely that she will be given some sort of extra detention. And the question is whether they simply choose to extend her house arrest or whether they then choose to use this as an excuse to leave her in prison, to put her in a prison cell. I mean, either way, it doesn't really make that much odds in terms of the politics, I don't think. She is unable to communicate with anyone, really, to any great degree. She's certainly not allowed to appear in public as she used to at the gates of her house in the 1990s. Now she really is only allowed to see her 2 assistants or maids, as they're sometimes referred to, and her doctor. Her health hasn't been great recently, and she had been on a drip. We're not quite sure what her condition is right now, but her lawyers have said that she's mentally strong and is preparing to fight these charges. The defence argument will be along the lines that, in fact, it is the state that has failed here to provide her with adequate security, not her that has broken some rules. In fact, she is only banned from meeting with other political figures or with foreign ambassadors and so on. So her lawyers will claim she didn't know any of that.
Dan Rivers, thanks for that update.
Thank you.